Welcome back to another episode of the Boro4Boro podcast, where we take a bite out of the Big Apple real estate scene. It's 2026, and everyone has their plans of how they want the year to go, maybe even buying a home. But the one thing that I'm sure a lot of people probably are thinking, but are not realizing, is that if you want to buy a home that's a multifamily, reality is that you're probably going to be a landlord. And so we're going to go deep today with our guests to talk about what does that even look like? And what are some ways that you can protect yourself as a potential landlord when looking for deals and being able to figure out how to actually thrive in that role? But first off, thank you so much, Scadi, for being here. We are with Scadi Etienne.
I like this guy already. He has my name.
Yes, exactly.
It's weird because people kept talking about you and they say my name, and I'm like,
Yes, but for those at home who aren't familiar with you, so who is Scadi Etienne?
well, first of all, real estate based. I've been a real estate investor for about 18 years now. Yeah. I bought my first co-op in Brooklyn in 2006, and I've been buying ever since. I've done every aspect of real estate. I own co-ops, I own small multifamilies, I flipped, I've done commercial deals. I'm a real estate broker. I'm a contractor, so I do all things real estate related.
Nice. Wow.
Okay. And when you started out, did you have in mind to do all of those things, or as time went on, you were like, you know what, I could do this, I could also do that?
When I started out, I just wanted an apartment to live in.
Okay.
I was paying rent, and I was doing well financially. I was working at the time, and I knew that I was in a position where I could buy something. And I went out and I tried to buy. I went to a real estate agency and I said, "Hey, I want to buy something." And they was like, "Look at this kid, like whatever." Then I showed him my bank account, and he was like, "All right." He took me a little bit more seriously, right. And he took me around and he showed me a condo, and I walked in. And I said, "Okay, let's do it." Yeah. He was like, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Easiest deal he ever did.
Yeah, easiest deal he ever did. And funny enough,
where was this condo?
In Brooklyn, in Crown Heights. Fortuitously for me, a couple years later, so I bought that condo in 2008. In 2011, he calls me up. He says, "Hey, Scotty, where are you?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm at work. What's up?" He's like, "Come see me." He gives me an address. It's in Bed-Stuy. I'm from Brooklyn. I know where Bed-Stuy is. So I'm like, "All right, what do you want, bro?" He's like, "No, come see me." So I'm like, "All right, fine." I get in my car. I drive to Bed-Stuy. Yeah. I get to where he tells me to come, and he's like, coming in his car. I get out of my car, go in his car. And he's like, "Hey, look at this house right here." I'm like, "All right, cool. What do you want me to see?" He's like, "I want you to buy this house." I'm like, "Bro, I'm good, bro. What do you mean by this house?"
I don't want to buy it.
I just bought something. Right. I'm living there. I'm good. He's like, "No, I want you to really buy it." Guy pulls out the contract and says, gives me a pen, sign right here.
Which is, by the way, not how you do this. For those who
anybody does that, you're wrong.
So I signed the contract. I'm like, okay, now what? He's like, "Listen, this is the best decision you ever made." In 2011, I bought a 3-family in Bed-Stuy for $360,000.
Wow.
That house is worth $2 million today.
Wow.
He looked out. He liked me. I guess I'm like a manipulator. I don't know. But the point being is, he looked out for me, and that really was my start in real estate.
Wow.
Because I had the co-op, and then he made me buy this house, and I'm like, okay, shoot. Now what do? Okay, I guess I'm a landlord.
Right.
And I'm like, am I really a landlord?
And that was a huge risk for you to take.
Absolutely.
But it's like, you were like, let's just...
Scared money don't make money.
Potentially illegal.
But the point being is, he knew me. He knew my personality.
Right.
He knew I had excellent credit. I had a 6-figure job at the time.
Right.
I had some money in the bank, just sitting there, playing around the stock market.
Right.
And the reason why I bought the first co-op was because I lost 6 figures in the stock market in one day.
Wow.
Now, I'm a poor Haitian kid from Flatbush. Losing 6 figures, I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna work.
Right.
So I needed tangible assets. So I'm like, you know what? I'm paying rent. Let me go find me something to live in. So I went out and I bought a co-op.
Which is typically not where people think from an investment standpoint. So what made you go co-op for the first one?
Because I didn't know anything.
Makes sense.
Like I walked into the real estate agency and I'm like, "Hey, listen, I need a place to live." Right. And he's like, "Let me show you these houses." And I'm like, "Yo, bro."
Yeah.
Yo, bro.
Yeah. I don't want to do all that.
I don't want to do all that. Yeah. I live in an apartment now. I grew up in an apartment in Brooklyn. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Okay, fine." He showed me an apartment. First apartment I went into. Okay. Why did I buy that apartment? I like the paint. I'm serious. I like the paint.
Okay.
And I still own that apartment.
Yeah.
And guess what? it's still the same paint.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You really like that paint.
I really like that paint.
So do you know what? I've never actually come across a landlord that owns co-op units. How do you find that, and how did that differ to maybe like an apartment building, a brownstone, 4-family, 2-family? How did that compare?
Well, so I bought one co-op, and then, you know, like, it was in Crown Heights, and then I bought 3 more of them in the same building.
Oh, wow.
And then, you know, like I bought the co-op, I bought the 3-family in Bed-Stuy.
Right.
Then I bought 3 more co-ops in that building, and then I started flipping.
Are you the board president in that building?
No, I am on the board.
I was gonna say,
Do they know
Like
he's
some
flipping?
buildings are a little more flexible with subletting rules.
So like, it really depends on the building. You know, like, at the end of the day, you have to read the bylaws
Right.
of the building. You have to know what's happening in the building. You got to know the financials, because the truth of the matter is, a lot of these buildings in New York, you can't get lender financing on them.
Right.
You know, because the bylaws, not just the bylaws, like some of these buildings, they have rental to owner guidelines.
Yeah, the
And if,
ratio.
if the building, if the ratio is off, you won't get financing.
Yeah.
There's very few banks that lend to a lot of these buildings. Like I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, in Miami, that building fell down.
yes.
Right.
When that building fell down, Miami, the state of Florida, and quite honestly, all over the U.S., they started looking at these older condos and co-ops and said, hey, listen, there's a liability here.
Sure.
Right.
And you know who else looked at the liability? The banks.
Yeah.
You know, the insurance companies. Because the insurance companies had to pay out.
Right.
The banks had to basically have an asset that is no longer there. So with that being said, now the lending guidelines, the restrictions are a lot more stringent.
Right.
And they're not playing around. So with that being said, that trickles down into New York, whereas you might find a condo, you might find a co-op, you might love it, but the building itself, the financials of the building aren't strong enough, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna happen. So then the guy like me comes in, I'm able to buy it at, you know, a little bit less than what the market would bear.
Right.
And I just landlord it, you know, and that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, being a landlord is something that I feel like today, it's a little bit more taboo. No one wants to, at least in New York, no one wants to walk around and be like, oh, I'm a landlord, because for many reasons, you know, whether it's the actual legislation, there's a bunch of reasons where you hear the horror stories, people are shying away from it. But if I'm understanding, you're a full-time landlord.
Yeah, full-time.
And you're leaning into it. At what point did you realize that this is what I want to do, and all of the risks aside, this is the right play for me?
You know, like, quite honestly, like I told you with the 3-family in Brooklyn, landlording chose me. Because I just bought a co-op, and I was living there. I was happy. I was going to work. I worked in finance at the time. And then I signed the contract for the 3-family. And I was like, okay, now I'm a landlord now. I inherited 2 tenants. I did a little bit of renovations. The first time you collect rent, it changes your life. It changes your life.
What does that feel like?
You know, because the truth is, at the time, I paid $360. Interest rates were low. My mortgage payment was $1,800.
Wow.
I had 3 units, and one unit was paying like $2,000. The other unit was paying $22,000, and then the smaller unit was paying like $1,500. Where does the rest of that money go to? My pockets. You know. So then, with that being said, when that happened, it crystallized to me. Oh, okay. I can do this, and I still have money in the bank, because my first house that I purchased, I bought the co-op, and I got a regular loan. The house that I bought, I used a VA loan. I'm a veteran. You know, so that house, I paid no money to get in. So every dime was profit. You know, and I was like, okay, this is all right. So then I started flipping, and I bought several houses in New York. I had a partnership. I had partners, and we bought houses, and we started flipping them. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. But the thing is, you know, I guess I'm conservative in that aspect, whereas the money I made flipping, which was great, you know, like a 6-figure check here, a 6-figure check there. I like the slow and steady money.
Okay.
I like the $2,000, $3,000 a month for the rest of my life.
Right. Right.
That's the key term, rest of my life.
Right.
So I collect rent every month for the rest of my life, or I make 6 figures one time. You know, like different strokes for different folks. But me personally, they call it envelope money, they call it mailbox money.
Yeah.
I call it Cash App and Zelle money, because like I'm a younger landlord, so I accept it however it comes. But the point being is, the reason why I didn't really love flipping is because, yes, it's a big check one time, but I'd rather the smaller check forever.
Right.
Sure. Where's the bulk of your portfolio?
So
How many-
right now I own. I think I'm at 20 assets, 20 properties.
Okay.
Wow.
I own 20 assets, 54 doors.
Okay.
Brooklyn's where I started. About 10 years ago, I bought a house. I bought another brownstone in Brooklyn. I paid $1.420 for it. And I took $500,000 of my own money to purchase it, and I was making net profit on that $1,500 a month. And I was like, well, you know what? Like me tying up $500K and making $1,500 a month, the math ain't mathing.
Right.
So with that being said, my buddy Drew Bernard, he basically had a 6-unit in Baltimore. He's like, hey, you know what? Maybe you can tackle this. So I went out there, bought it, and I've been buying in Baltimore ever since. So currently I own 44 doors in Baltimore.
Nice.
I'm an
Nice.
active full-time landlord. I stopped working 8 years ago. Full-time landlord. Every hour of every day that I am up, I'm doing something landlord-related.
No property management.
I have somebody in Baltimore, and he's quasi-property management, but he handles all my maintenance issues.
Right. Okay.
So if I have a leaky faucet, if I have a busted toilet, he handles that. And obviously it works for me.
Right.
But as far as day-to-day landlord-tenant calls, as far as tenant screenings, I screen them from New York, which is a lot of work. A lot of work. I have people that basically show apartments for me. I coordinate that. So, I don't have a per se property management. I have a team, but everyone's job is different. If I need someone to, if I have an eviction, I have somebody that goes and makes sure the eviction happens. Then I have the crew come in and clean out the stuff they left behind. So it's like I don't have a property management, but I do it all. But I do have a lot of help.
Right.
Well, I feel like a lot of people, when they hear you use the word eviction, which that's the first fear that comes to someone's mind when it's being a landlord, right?
Right.
Is that something that you think is more common than people realize, or the rate at which it's happening is something that is just kind of like over exaggerated?
It happens. It happens. So I have 3 horror stories in New York and Brooklyn. No, one of them in the Bronx. Scotty, your people. It was a straight line eviction, so it only took 9 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they put cement in my pipes. They put cement in the pipes.
Wow.
That really, really bothered me because it's like, yo, you got over on me.
Right.
Is this someone you screened to?
No, I inherited it. So what happened with that house is, first of all, you can't screen for stuff happens. Life.
Right.
Life.
Life.
100% anything.
Yeah, life. Life happens. People get sick. People lose their jobs.
Sure.
People's family members get sick. You can't screen life.
Yeah.
So that was the first one.
I think we gotta go to break too.
So we'll come back, and after we're gonna hear a little bit more from Scotty about not only in terms of how to protect yourself, but also if you do want to be a landlord in New York City, there's a lot of positive things to it that we want to be able to figure out how do you identify those and really be able to figure out which properties are the right ones to go after to help you do that. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
From residential and commercial closings to litigation, Boro4Boro is your full-service real estate law firm. We blend big firm knowledge with boutique-level attention, delivering outcomes that exceed every expectation. Contact us at boro4boro.com.
I'm Brian Scott Cohen, one of the top loan originators in the country, and the #1 mortgage originator at Guaranteed Rate Infinity. Guaranteed Rate Infinity arguably has the most advanced tech in the industry. Our completely digital loan process makes it easy and efficient for homeowners, from a 15-minute pre-approval to the digital application and through closing. My team and I would love to help you get into the home of your dreams.
Welcome back to Boro4Boro. So we are here again with Scadi Etienne, and right before the break, we were talking about the realities of being a landlord. So Scotty, pick us up where we left off.
I was going through my horror stories. The least horrible was the cement in the toilets.
Right.
Which is the least horrible, which is
least.
crazy.
That's nasty.
The most horrible is 5 years. I had a 5-year eviction.
Oh man.
Wow.
5 years.
man.
Was it in Brooklyn or Baltimore?
In Brooklyn. In Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, huh?
I had a 5-year eviction. What happened was it started right before COVID. and COVID kind of put a
Trickled over.
timeout
Right.
on it for a couple years. And it took 5 years. So, that's horrible. And I'm currently going through an eviction now. It's only been a year. Only a year.
That's nasty.
How much money is that? Like out of your pocket?
Like if you take average rent, $2,500 times 12, that's $30,000. And unfortunately, most people can't absorb that. Like if you own a 2-family, 3-family home, we really need to talk about the eviction rules in New York. Because they're not good. And
They're not landlord friendly, are they?
It's not even not landlord friendly. They're just not fair. Like we're not gonna talk about landlord friendly and not landlord friendly. We're gonna talk about fairness.
Okay.
It shouldn't take someone shouldn't be able to live in your house for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months without paying, and then basically go to court, and the court basically says, okay, you can come back in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Right.
That's not right. The laws need to change. Someone can't say, oh, this is a house that's vacant. Let me move in here, and now I have squatters' rights.
Right.
And now the landlord has to go about and evict me, and that's gonna take a year.
Right.
That's not fair. It's not about landlord friendly and not landlord friendly because at the end of the day, I've been on all sides of the table.
Sure.
Right.
I've been a tenant. I've been a landlord. I've been evicted. I've done the evicting. So I understand all of it. But you can't just live for a year in the house and not pay, and the courts back you up and basically say, okay, come back in 6 months.
Right. And they recently brought in the good cause eviction. Has that helped anything? Has that improved?
The good cause eviction has not helped anything for landlords. It's helped for tenants. And quite honestly, there's fairness to it, if you think about it, right? I live here as a tenant. You can't just come and say, hey, it's time for you to go. There needs to be a good cause to evict me. There needs to be a good cause for you not to renew my lease. That's fair.
Right.
What's not fair is if there is a good cause, and the good cause eviction law says a good cause for eviction is not non-payment, which is crazy.
Right.
So if there is an eviction, it shouldn't take a year. It should be a streamlined process, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months. Conversely, I own in Baltimore. If someone doesn't pay me in January, they will be out by March, April, which is fair. 3-4 months.
Right.
There is an inherent risk that I take as a landlord, but the risk can't be that I can have someone not pay for 5 years.
Right.
The risk can't be that if for good cause, if someone doesn't pay, if they've been there for more than 2 years, I have to give them a 3-month notice that I'm going to take them to court. That's not fair. Right. There's an inherent unfairness there, and the laws need to be addressed. But politicians come into office, and no politician ever wants to come and say, hey, I take money from revenue, which a lot of them do. No politician wants to come and say, hey, I just want to have good landlord-tenant laws.
Right.
When people, because the landlords are the bad guys. The landlords are not the bad guys. The landlords are me.
Right.
The landlords are our parents. The landlords are us.
Yeah.
If you buy a 2-family house in Brooklyn, guess what you are?
Yeah,
You're a landlord.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the financial bandwidth or the wherewithal to navigate the system, people have lost their houses because tenants don't pay.
Right.
How is that fair? Where's the equity in that?
Right.
So someone starting out who has all the right intentions and wants to be able to navigate it, but mitigate their risks. Obviously, there's risks. What's the first thing that you would give someone with all the knowledge that you have? What should they be looking for now to almost offset that a little bit?
I think I was explaining to you guys, you can't mitigate life happening.
Right.
Tenant got sick. That's life.
Yeah.
Right.
Tenant lost their job. That's life. So you can't mitigate that. You just can't foresee tenant getting sick.
Sure.
You just can't foresee it. But what you can do is, and unfortunately, it makes it harder to rent an apartment because the tenants that I've had to evict in New York, what's going to happen is the next tenant that comes in, I'm going to be a lot more stringent on my guidelines. Hey, 40 times rent, you don't make it? Sorry, can't do it.
Right.
Hey, do you have a cosigner? The cosigner makes 80 times rent? No? I'm sorry, can't do it. Why? Once bitten, twice shy.
Right.
I can't justify letting you come in and having, like a little iffy in terms of where you are in terms of my qualifications,
Right.
knowing that if stuff hits a proverbial fan, I'm stuck like Chuck, and it's going to take me 12 months. It's going to take me 18 months to be able to evict you. That's just not going to work for me.
Right.
So you have 46 doors, 46 apartments. So that's a success.
54.
54. Thank you. So it sounds like obviously you're a very successful landlord, which in New York, that is a hard thing to do, right? So what do you think you do that's meticulous or let's say a standard that you set for yourself why you're so successful as a landlord? Is it you keep in touch with your client or with your tenants? Like, what are some things that you have in place?
Like my background, I have an MBA in finance. I joined the military. I came out. I bought my first co-op, and then I bought the first house. And just basically, I'm really a numbers guy. So I'm really looking at the numbers. I can go and look at a deal and do the numbers in my head and figure out if it makes financial sense or not. Right. I know what the rents are. I know what the comps are in the area. I know my area. I'm in Brooklyn. You tell me an address in Bed-Stuy, I know the cross streets. I've driven up and down that street. Right. You tell me an address in Fort Greene and Clinton Hill, I know those streets because that's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. So what I do is I'm really, really focused on, do the numbers make sense? How do I make sure that I can pay the mortgage? Because that's the most important thing. Sure. The bank does not care that your tenant hasn't paid you rent in 6 months. Right. The bank cares that on the first, the mortgage is due, you pay the mortgage. So, that's one of the things I'm really focused on is how do I make sure that this house cash flows enough that even if I do have one delinquent tenant, that I'm able to sustain the house.
Is there a certain rule that you follow, like when you're looking at a property, like how they have the 70-30 rule and this rule?
I'm a little different. Like the 70-30 rule works, the 1% rule works. Me personally, I don't buy a house unless if I buy a 3-family house, one tenant pays the mortgage. The rest are profit. That's how I do it. If I buy a 2-family house, if I buy a 4-family house, two tenants, 1.5 tenants pay because I have a lot of wiggle room. I don't buy single-family houses because if a tenant doesn't pay for 6 months, 12 months, you're stuck like Chuck. Yeah. Where are you going to go? You have to come out of pocket. So fortunately for me, the houses that I do buy, I am able to, cash flow enough, whereas if I got 3 tenants and 1 tenant doesn't pay, I'm okay. At the beginning of COVID, I was really, really worried because I was like, shoot, this is cataclysmic. This is something that's never unprecedented, and I might not be able to collect. Yeah. How am I gonna pay my mortgages? And that really reinforced you have 3, 1 pays. Because if I had a whole bunch of single family homes, right, and a lot of my tenants weren't working or whatnot, how would I be able to pay my mortgages? Sure. So that really crystallized my investing philosophy.
Your thoughts. So, question: you own in Brooklyn, you own in Baltimore. Do you own anywhere else? Are you open to owning anywhere else? And most importantly, how do you manage those properties? I know you said you have one guy that looks after your homes in Baltimore, but there must be like some sort of rhyme and reason into how you manage your properties.
So I always say that you can't master several different things.
Right.
You've heard the term a jack of all trades, but an ace of none. I can't proactively manage my New York portfolio, my Baltimore portfolio, and then start in Atlanta and in Miami. I'm just one person. I don't have the systems in place. And quite honestly, I personally believe if you're going to invest in an area outside of your home, or even if you're investing in New York, spend a day in housing court. Go there and see exactly what happens in these courts. See what the tenants are saying that are issues. See what the judges are saying. See what the judges are saying so that okay, this tenant hasn't paid in 6 months. The judge says come back next year. Okay, if I'm in Baltimore, you go to a Baltimore housing court, the tenant hasn't paid in 2 months, and the judge says, hey, here's your warrant. The tenant will be out in 6 weeks. Just figure out what the laws are. And then there's intricacies of every municipality. So you just need to figure out exactly what you can and can't do, what the rules are. Right. Because at the end of the day, the tenants that are from there, they know what the rules are.
Absolutely.
And they know that you don't know what the
Right.
rules are.
I was just going to say that.
And you're going to have issues. So, for instance, in Baltimore, where I own a big portfolio, every year you have to get a rental license, and every tenant move out you have to do a lead
check?
a lead cert, right?
Okay.
If you don't have that, you have a tenant, you can take them to court for non-payment.
And you didn't do that?
You didn't do that.
Right.
The court's going to say they don't have to pay. You know,
'Cause you didn't follow the rules.
you didn't follow the rules.
Right.
So you just need to know that. You just can't go and say, okay, I'm going to go and buy houses in Cleveland or Delaware
Right.
or Florida and not know the rules. Or Airbnb is cool. Let me go do an Airbnb and come to find out you can't do an Airbnb in that town.
Right.
You know, like you just have to figure out what the rules are so that you can play within the boundaries.
So a lot of it is really just educating yourself before you make any move.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And obviously, us as realtors, we give advice to our clients and help them navigate how to find the right property. But we're in the age of technology. And so there's a lot of people outside of our control that are going to be informing our clients. So are there any books or any podcasts? Like, what are things that you as a landlord would advise somebody to stay up on top of?
Like
You,
podcasts.
you can't say the Boro4Boro podcast.
No. It will actually, and let me tell you why. Because at the end of the day, this is a New York specific podcast.
Right.
You know, I'm a New York. I'm a New York guy. You know?
Right.
So I'm able to really talk about and expound on New York day-to-day dealings and deals and so on and so forth.
Right.
You know, I've listened to most of the episodes of Bigger Pockets podcast. Why? Because I wanted to learn.
Sure.
You know, because at the end of the day, this is my career.
Right.
This is my livelihood. I need to know how to be the best landlord. I need to know how to navigate all of the systems, everything associated with being a landlord. So I listen to the podcast. You know, like I don't know anything about Airbnbs. There's experts there. You know, I don't know anything about short-term rentals. There's experts there. I don't know anything about mid-term rentals. There's experts there. What I do is I am a landlord. I am a small multifamily landlord. If I go on a podcast, I can talk really, really well about being a small multifamily landlord in New York and in Baltimore. But if I want to go and invest in Florida, I'm going to go and listen to someone that's an expert in Florida.
Sure.
Because I don't know, and what you don't know will hurt you.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Look, that's clearly, if you want to be a landlord, it's something that is not for the faint of heart.
Absolutely
But
not.
there's a lot of upside to it
Yeah.
because you wouldn't have accumulated 54 doors
Right.
if it wasn't. In terms of just the outlook, you know, what is it that you're looking for and has you excited about this year to potentially invest in?
I'm looking forward to the rates coming down.
You and us both, brother. You
Yeah,
and us
like
both.
I you know, I don't do typical loans. You know, I don't go to Chase and say, hey Chase, give me a loan. I go to lenders that do DSCR loans,
Which is
debt service debt service loans.
Okay.
So because of that, you know, like if you go to Chase, you might get a rate at 5.5.
Right.
I'm getting rates at 6.5, 7.5, 8s. So with that being said, when rates come down, it just means I have more buying power. So no, I'm really looking forward to that. Is going to try to curtail the big corporations buying up all the single family homes in America, which is great because at the end of the day, it's not fair.
Right.
You know, it's not fair that you can't afford a starter home.
Right.
Right.
You know, why is a starter home $800,000?
Yeah.
Why is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home that expensive?
Yeah.
Right.
And part of the problem is because these big corporations go in and say, okay, we're gonna take over Cincinnati, and they go in and they buy everything that's on the market, and they raise all the prices, and then they go back and they rent them out when people should be buying. So I'm looking forward to that.
I've seen a lot of that, and then also like them buying the property and selling it to each other for a higher price. Just
Yeah.
That's market values and
That's
stuff like that.
that's just crazy. It's unfair,
Yeah.
and it really basically hurts the middle class in America.
Sure.
You know, the middle
Sure.
class. If I'm a middle class person, where is my house with my white picket fence? It doesn't exist anymore, and it's not fair.
Not in New York, that's for sure.
Well, the thing is, the house with the white picket fence in New York does exist, but it just happens to be a 2 or 3 family home,
Right.
which makes you automatically a de facto landlord. And a lot of people don't want to be landlords.
Scared away from it.
They're scared of it. They hear I got 5 years, I got cement in my pipes. They hear those stories and they're like, why would I want to sign up for that?
Right.
If you don't want to sign up for that, it's okay. But you might not be able to to have the American dream in New York. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
So on a personal level, Scotty, how has being a landlord and even over the years has changed you as a person, and what opportunities and doors has it opened for you?
Yeah, like it's changing because like you know, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I had housing insecurity growing up, and I'm very empathetic to people that are having housing insecurity. I'm very empathetic to, like people that just need a chance. But the laws make it real difficult for me to take a chance on somebody. It just makes it real difficult because I know if I mess up, if I choose wrong, I'm not gonna get paid, and there's no recourse. So that's the thing. As far as opportunities that's open to me, was that your question?
Yeah, like how has it opened opportunities for you being a landlord?
There's no better feeling in the world than, having a person come and you helping them get their first apartment. I've rented program apartments in New York, and seen somebody that had a DV situation or is in a shelter, and then you basically transition them and you give them the keys, and they're just so excited. There's no better feeling in the world for that because you just know you really impacted and changed somebody's life.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever helped any of your tenants to pursue that home buying?
Yeah, listen, I tell everybody, and I'm going to say it on this podcast. NACA, NACA, is one of the best mortgages in America. Their tagline is best mortgage in the U.S. in the world. Yeah. It's true. It's not easy to get through with them.
Sure.
There's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through, but once you jump through the hoops, you can essentially buy a home with no money or little money down. And that happens every day. I've helped people navigate their system. I've helped people buy their homes with NACA, no money down, or sometimes leaving the closing table with a check. And that is a way that New Yorkers, can get into home ownership because you don't need to have 6 figures in the bank to be able to buy a home in New York. You just need to be able to go through their seminar, provide them the documentation that they require, follow up with your counselor, get approved, and then find something. And then finding something, I've been able to help people, countless people do that. And it's really rewarding because, how that agent looked out for me and said, hey, sign right here. And he helped me sign. How that agent, obviously I'm not doing that. But just basically helping somebody get into home ownership, get their 2-3 family home with their white picket fence, a proverbial white picket fence in New York. It just means a lot. And then quite honestly, seeing someone that I helped buy a house 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and seeing the property value skyrocket, and it's just like, oh, okay, wow. I have equity now. I bought my house for $700. It's worth $1.1 million today. That's just, it's life changing.
Yeah.
It's life changing.
Absolutely. Would you ever do rent to own, or have you ever done that with any of your tenants?
I thought about it. I find, a lot of the rent to own, personally speaking, I've tried it, but if the tenant does not keep up with their payments, I find that they paid more than what they would renting, and if they don't keep up, to have nothing at the end of the day, and that kind of sucks. That's the thing with rent to own. If you really want to help somebody, if you really want to help somebody, help them navigate the system so that they could go out and buy a home the proverbial old-fashioned way. Because there are programs out there like NACA, there's programs, FHA financing, 3.5% down, that can get you into home ownership that doesn't involve you basically renting, trying to quote-unquote buy the home that you're renting and paying a little bit more than market value, and then if stuff hits the fan, you have nothing to show for it, which happens all the time.
Sure, 100%. Well, Scadi, thank you so much for all the information that you gave. You've given a lot of information specifically to people who were on the fence or didn't even realize that the path that they potentially want to go down would require them to be a landlord, but there's nothing wrong with it clearly as long as they're educated. So for
absolutely.
somebody at home who wants to be more educated, where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
You can look me up on social media. I'm all over social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, but
What's your name on Instagram?
my IG name, my name is Scadi, but it's not spelled like it's not spelled like him.
Spell your name.
My name is spelled it's Scadi. So my Instagram handle is I am Scadi. I am Scadi. So that's my name. It's spelled a little differently, but it's pronounced Scadi.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Scadi. This has been another
Absolutely.
great episode.
Great.
And thank you for tuning in. If you want to keep up with our episodes and be able to stay in tune for all our future ones, make sure you like, subscribe, and give us a follow. And we can't wait to see you next time.
Pleasure having you, bro.
Happy to
Thank you.
Good stuff.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business, and it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.